Good morning. My name is Elizabeth, and I am very excited to talk about something that fills my days and makes me very excited. But I'm also here to talk about how challenging missional activities can be and that it is fully worth it. So I am part of Church of the Resurrection, and they have a second building that is St. Columba's over in the St. Clair O'Connor area. This is a map of the parish bounds, and we have spent the last year and a bit listening to the area, trying to find out who are the people in the neighborhood, what do they do, where do they hang out, what is God already doing in our midst. My work has been to find out where are the youth hanging out, and we found out very quickly that there aren't very many places for the youth to hang out. We continually heard that once the cold weather comes and they're no longer able to hang out outside, there's no place for them to hang out. So we have a big building and thought that maybe we could start a drop-in center. So we started to pull together some resources. We applied to the Diocese for a REACH grant and got it. Thank you very much. We used some of those grant monies to purchase games. We also looked to the community of the St. Clair O'Connor area and East York and to Church of the Resurrection to donate their old used games or to donate new games. We collected about 150 games for the youth. We put together a team of volunteers, and we started to meet and build community amongst the leaders with the idea that we would model the type of community that we hope that the youth would then come into and be able to experience. We started with a once-a-month Friday night games night. We started by having Church of the Resurrection's youth group come over so that we could get an experience of having youth in our space and allowed them to invite their friends. But after a little while, that youth group decided that they liked our games nights, but they would rather do something else, which was fine. But we were left with trying to find the youth in the neighborhood, which was our original goal. We had some success. A youth would come out every now and then, but most of the Friday nights were spent with the leaders, hanging out, playing games, wishing that there were youth with us, but mostly it was just a group of adults getting to know each other. We tried some other experiments. This is a picture of an Easter, just prior to an Easter egg hunt, where we told the gospel story through sort of a messy church kind of way of using an egg to an object lesson to start telling the gospel. And we told the story, and then they went and hunt for eggs. It was so much fun that the kids wanted to do that again. The second time round, we allowed them to tell us the story that they heard, and this is a picture from the second time round. You can see that they're quite engaged. We had about 70 or 80 people come to that. We had a yard sale. We have a large parking lot. These are two of our volunteers. And we decided, we had been connected with a community from Nepal who had asked us to pray with them during the whole earthquakes that were happening. And so we decided to fundraise for that community. And there are a couple of highlights from that experience. One, we got to meet a Nepali family in the neighborhood, and that led to subsequent meetings with them. But mostly what we learned through this experiment is that we really were not connected with the community at all. Just around the corner was a fun fair with horses and a bouncy castle, and that's where all the families were. They were not coming to our garage sale. We had a youth group come from a Christian school that wanted to learn how to do missions in Toronto. So I got them to plant a garden. My secret motivation of planting the garden was I wanted a symbol of life and growth. But this ended up being a place where people would stop and have conversations. I'd be out there weeding the garden, and people would ask what's happening at the church. And often people who would be walking by would sit and wait. But again, we would have these conversations, and nobody would come in through the doors of the church. We had one-off youth events. This is a spa event. Again, really lovely. A few youth came out, great conversations, but it didn't really lead to anything. A baking event, great conversations. The youth had a lot of fun. We thought we were starting to get momentum, and then we'd be sitting around playing games on Friday night with just the adults. Yes, that's a picture of my cat. I got tired of spending time in the neighborhood just hanging out by myself, so I decided I needed a living thing to join me. So I took my cat on a leash to a park. Earlier that day, I had emailed my boss to say, I'm just so discouraged. I'm putting in all this time and effort, and I feel like I'm doing nothing at all. Got to the park. There were tons of youth. They're all playing baseball. I hate baseball. I wrote my boss at that moment and said I found the youth. And it was a significant moment in my own thinking and in the life of St. Columba's and the side door. We were looking in the wrong places. The youth were hanging out playing baseball every night at the local park for I think 3 months. And we were looking in different places and hanging out inside St. Columba's. We needed to be out in the community. Just interestingly, if you take a cat on a leash in a park, people will talk to you. So after 9 months, and as I was talking with a friend of mine who is pregnant, I realized the significance of the 9 months. We had 9 months of waiting. And we found one youth, interestingly through a Facebook group, who was interested in meeting friends. Didn't really have any friends. And it was actually her mom who contacted me. And through this one youth, he started coming to our games nights. Every week, we started to grow in numbers. We now have about 10 regular people. Got to meet some of the parents and started to realize that some of these parents are connected in the communities. And there's one particular one who is a Christian, who gets what we're doing and is connected with tons of family. So we started to invest time in her family because she's the one who can help us find the families in the neighborhood. She's actually the one who drives all the kids to come. She goes and picks all the kids up and then drives them home so that they can come every Friday night. And they all call her up to say, are you able to pick us up? They want to be here. So we have about 10 members who come out regularly. After games night, we are often sitting around talking. I have a package of conversation starters. We're often getting quite deep quite quickly. This is a group of kids who you mention church and there are giggles. They're not ready for opening up the Bible and studying, but they did ask for a tour of the building. And we spent a good 10 minutes in the sanctuary as they asked me, what is the cross for the processional? What is the baptismal font? They got to hold the processional cross. They got to sit in the bishop's chair. They got to see all the different things, and they it was the room where they spent the most amount of time. So they are curious, even if they're not letting us know that directly. I also spend quite a bit of time outside after school hours with my little table and a sign and some sort of activity for them to do, whether that's write a word on a leaf that's going to go on a gratitude tree is something that they're thankful for. And I'm quite excited that the kids will sometimes come by and they will take their earphones out of their ears and start a conversation with me. Some of those youth have started to come to the group. But I want to talk for a moment about the kids that are coming. This is a very broken group of kids. These are kids that are not well supported at home, who do not do well at school, who have significant troubles. I've worked with many groups of youth, and each year I think I have reached the hardest group of kids that I've ever worked with, and then God shows me another group of kids. And this is the hardest group of kids that I've ever worked with. And each time I hang out with them, my heart breaks. But these kids need love, and they need care, and they need people who will sit and will listen to them. And the side door is a place where they are coming and getting that. And I just want to encourage anyone who is interested in doing this kind of work that it is worth it, but your heart is going to be broken over and over with these kids. But you are going to see so many amazing things through conversations with them. So thank you for letting me share a little bit.